What's
What's
up?
going
What's
on,
up,
everybody?
everybody?
It's your man Chuck Creekmer, aka Jigsaw. Here with my dog DJ Thorough.
Yes,
We have
we
WonWorld Studios.
Yeah.
We got a mogul in the house today.
A fashion mogul, man.
Yeah, a fashion mogul.
You know?
None other than Willie Esco.
Esco.
I get to meet Chuck for the first time. I see you
Yeah.
on a lot of my LinkedIn's
Okay.
and everything, right? But yeah,
My LinkedIn ain't even popping. That's a good sign.
no, I see
Yeah.
Hey, look, you got a legendary figure on your joint.
IG.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Right.
yeah, Chuck's the guy. Did you play softball at all?
Nah.
No, you played. It's another Chuck Bone.
Oh, okay.
Chuck Berry. He played.
Yeah.
Chuck Berry. Oh, Lord. There you go.
Yeah, so yeah,
Yo,
I'm happy
welcome.
to be here.
Welcome.
Yeah.
And I just witnessed my man D Dot.
D-Dot.
Drop-
D-Dot, Angeletti, yeah.
I got Trailblaze shit too, son.
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah. It was good. That was
All
good
right,
to
so-
watch that.
Welcome to the show. My first question.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna do it like this. We're gonna get right into it.
Go ahead.
How did you get into fashion?
Fashion was always part of my DNA from the time the movie American Gigolo came out. That's got to be 1980,
Woo!
right?
Okay.
Blondie, remember, Blondie was hot in hip hop, in early hip hop.
Mhm.
She was hot, so I saw her do the soundtrack, and the song was hot too.
Rapture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did Rapture, but Call Me. was
Call
the
Me.
song.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Call Me.
Okay.
So I saw the song was dope. It's from American Gigolo. I couldn't see it because I think it was rated R or something like that.
But you still saw it somehow, right?
No, I actually didn't see. I saw clips
Okay.
and I saw what he was wearing. I
Okay.
think he had a leather tie on. I was like, yo, that is. I need to figure out. It's what is a gigolo? So it all went back to looks, fashion. Now I'm a Boy Scout in at that time, so I'm an outdoors guy, but looking towards the future when I start dating girls and stuff, I'm like, this guy's got it. You know, Richard Gere.
Mhm.
I was like, Blondie's not in the movie, but it's about him in the music. It was just all culminated in visuals with a song that was on top 40 radio before really hip hop was popping. And I, sort of saw the visuals and I was like, how do I, and he would talk about, European brands and stuff. I was like, wow, this is wild. This brought me back to other mentions,
Right.
of high-end fashion, in songs in our R&B world,
Right. Okay.
So that's where like third, fourth grade, I was
Third,
early
fourth
on. I had two sisters older than me, and they would always ask me to, what heel goes with this and what,
Right.
So as a youngest brother,
Wow.
they would ask me, and I'd be like, yo, use that heel with that. But today I'm no good with the women's clothes. I have no I
Right.
have no understanding on trend there. When hip hop came about, fashion, menswear, I was sort of interested in self. So,
Itself,
yeah.
but at the time, if you wanted to educate yourself, the point of entry was always through women's fashion.
Gotcha.
Wasn't men's.
Wasn't
Gotcha.
mentioned.
Was not men's.
But this you took this like in the third grade.
Well, third grade, I understood I liked this. Then
Right.
then third, fourth, fifth, you start listening to old, end of disco R&B, Michael Jackson, and I'm loving this. I'm a very soulful person, so I love that era. And then the transition when I went to a different neighborhood. See, the transition going from a Spanish part of Newark into a black part of Newark, that changed everything. Because I knew I was listening to a lot of soul, like Dr. Buzzards, all this classic disco. And then when I went to my new neighborhood, one, I had to assimilate. Two, I had to adapt and not get beat up every day. So I had to listen to the music. And then I'm the only Latin kid in that black neighborhood that would attract females automatically. I was a one-on-one in that space.
Yeah.
One of one.
Yeah. So saying that you're a Latin in that neighborhood and you do and you're into fashion, it helps with the conversations.
Yeah.
But that's early 73 to 78, and there's no urban fashion at the time.
Right.
It's just.
When did you start to pivot a little bit and think career? Like when did it kind of start
Well,
to click?
I had this conversation with Deuce Martinez, right? He is an early break dancer, Fresh Fest, the first one, Fresh Fest was happening in that era. So we're talking 82, 83.
Wait, tell people, you gotta educate as well on what the Fresh Fest was.
Yeah, Fresh Fest was the first rap
Yeah,
concert series.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
tour.
first concert series. And wasn't by that time you're talking second generation of rap artists.
Yeah,
So you're
you're
not
right.
even talking about
First
the
generation.
first, you know,
Cool
Cool
Run
Herc was,
DMC.
yeah. This is Run DMC,
Fat Boys,
Houdini.
Houdini,
Yeah,
UTFO
Yeah.
was on there, and Jermaine Dupri.
Jermaine. This is where I'm getting
Yeah,
to. So
okay.
Deuce, a year before that, it was a breakdancing was a big thing. So when in my part of town, when hip hop started being noticed out of the disco era, the DJ, you see the DJ on the block parties in the summertime, and then his selections would be a lot of R&B, but once you put Sugar Hill on, you know it was different, but it was like we talked earlier, it was drawing from top 40 for us at the time, urban top 40, right? So your Chic was automatically on your mind. So when you heard someone rhyming over Chic, you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
So that automatically put me into a hip hop zone. But I got disillusioned with hip hop right around the time I had to make a decision to get serious about fashion.
Okay.
To me, hip hop goes in waves, goes up and down. Like we're in a down cycle right now. But nonetheless, that era of breakdancing, which was everybody, you're so young, you could breakdance. You know, I learned how to breakdance, and then I was good at art. So those two things were two pillars of hip hop that you can do and consider yourself in the club of hip hop, right? So when I started breakdancing, we were good. We were from Newark now. We were always considered the sixth borough. We never really, it seemed like thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
And you understand they would always shout out Brooklyn, Bronx. You know, you're like, what about us over here?
Yeah.
They would get ignored. And it was intimidating to want to participate in hip hop. We're not even getting acknowledged in the actual space we're in right across the river. Right. But actually, we were all in the mix, right? I didn't know it. I just felt like it was far. So by 19, you know, by the time I'm break dancing, you know, I see Deuce Martinez, one of the dynamic breakers, who was the first to really get on TV and win an award, win money. And the award and the money part was, hey, you get to go on tour with Fresh Fest, first one. I think this was the second one. Swatch Watch came in. Right? They sponsored. Now, the first one was very under the radar. So Deuce won, and he went on tour, and I had a conversation with him. I was like, yo, what was it like? Did you get a tutor? Like, because I was already planning on being successful in hip-hop. I was like, I'm gonna make this money breakdancing. I'm gonna win this year, junior year. I don't know how I'm gonna graduate from high school. I was going to St. Benedict's Prep. How am I going to get education? Because I'm going to win. We're going to win this, right? So when we don't win because of politics, the team that beat us in the Swatch Watch competition in the Roxy. Now, I'm fascinated because I see Fat Boys. You see everybody. I'm like, at that age, I say, I'm witnessing history, but it is so new. You don't know what you're doing.
Right.
But you see, yo, that's LO here, and this is, oh, Prince. Oh my God. And you're looking like, wow, this is wild. What's happening? We lose.
Did you say Prince?
Prince Marky D.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
For me, that was Prince. Right. So see that Fat Boys. If you really listen to Fat Boys, their music was crazy.
By the way, don't get their props.
You really Houdini. I hit Jaclar on Instagram. I was like, yo, for Haunted House of Rock, my son was. And I was like, if you listen to the song, the music, the break, oh my God, it's incredible. So I hit him up, and my son was on it. So, but nonetheless, we coming into breakdancing, and I'm breakdancing a lot, and I hit a wall. So we come in second place. But Jermaine Dupri's team beat us, and he's the one that gets off
Politics.
the fucking bus
Yeah.
with Deuce, and I'm like, Deuce, that's supposed to be me. You with that little and look like a midget. I was like, what's the little kid? Why would you with the little kid like you arm in arm? I'm like, that's supposed, and I was a big thing for my neighborhood. I was like, that's supposed to be us.
Yeah.
And I had a crew of 5. It's on YouTube. You can
Right.
see it. Fantastic Force.
Wow.
We didn't win, so I was really messed up, man. And
Wait a minute. JD. Ooh.
JD, yeah,
Jermaine
JD,
Dupri.
JD, man. JD.
Yeah.
So nonetheless, it's a funny time. It's 84, 85. Again, another wave of new music is coming. I'm all in on Run DMC, but now you have a new wave of artists coming that I don't know that I like. You know, Ultramagnetic MCs. I'm like, and then Public Enemy. Everybody's coming. I'm like, I don't know. And house music is getting stronger for me, right? So, by the time I'm ready to go to college, I did not do the footwork or the leg work. I just was there. I was doing bare minimums. I went to St. Benedict's Prep in Newark as private, right next to Arts High, and I would barely be there. I would get in trouble every day. So I somehow got into Rutgers University, which is right down the block. And it was, financial aid. So I was able to get in, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to 2 years. Let me figure out, because this hip hop thing is dead for me. Like, it was devastating not to go on
so
tour.
hard to understand.
It's dead for me because I did not win, and I would have been on tour. And you see the video.
Okay.
You understand? MTV's playing that video every 5 seconds. I was like, oh my God. Like, yo.
That should have been him.
And
doing the
Houdini
crap,
Houdini's, that album is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know myself. I would have met everybody. I would have been like, I'm doing music. Like Jermaine, what Jermaine did was exactly what you're supposed to do.
So you're
Parlay.
Jermaine Dupri.
Yeah, indirectly. So, right, nonetheless, 2 years I take to sort of figure out what I want to do. Banking, I'm working at a bank. No, I don't want to do that. By the second year at Rutgers University, I decided it's time to get serious about fashion. And how do I do that? Because I saw what was happening. The clothing was part of another pillar within that was not being talked about. And I'm like, goes back to Richard Gere, American Gigolo. I was like, I want to be fashion, so let me try and figure this out. And I find out the touch points to get into FIT, which is, while I'm at Rutgers, I'll take the class over here. Someone at FIT teaches over here, and they get me in. So I made a decision by 1988 to like, it's time to get serious about what I'm gonna do for a career, because I can't dance no more. Right?
Yeah, he's like,
And not even. I just didn't like where hip hop was at the time.
right.
88 was a different, and I didn't like, I didn't like the Janet Jackson era. So certain things music turned me off. I was more Chicago, was more house music, Jersey house. So I was like, let me focus on fashion. That's what I'm gonna do. And
not hip hop fashion, just fashion.
no, just fashion.
Yeah.
Just get into. I got another pivotal moment at Rutgers University was, I did okay, but I remember studying for a class for months. Like it was chemistry or some shit, and I know school is all about memory. If you can remember, then you're gonna pass.
Right.
If you remember, you pass. You get a good grade and you pass. One thing that was a wild card was art. Art is not about memory. Art is about talent.
Yeah.
So I did the memory thing for 2 years at Rutgers, and I'm like, I did good, but the one that the straw that broke the camel's back was I was at Rutgers, and they gave a test out. I got an F. I was like, yo.
In what?
In chemistry.
Okay.
I got an F straight, and I studied. I studied. Like, I really studied for this class. I got an A in the first part of it. Second part, I got an F. And then everybody was like, yo, everybody almost failed. Everybody got Fs, Cs, and Ds. So A student got a C. A B or C student got an F. So we all went to the dean and be like, yo, this guy's crazy. Like, he needs to scale all this up. I'll take a C, but I'm not taking an F. And they're like, no, you have to take that F. I was like, so the politics involved was like, oh, so you giving me an F even though I studied, and this teacher that you appointed steered us the wrong way. The entire class failed. I was like, this is my success has to be based on my talent, not on what I can remember. So that's when I said I'm going to FIT.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to base all my talent on what I can do creatively. So that's 88, 89, you know.
Amazing.
And still no urban fashion really
Still,
yet.
still no urban fashion.
Right.
Nah, no urban fashion. Really, we're adopting. We're piecing together.
Did you know about Dapper Dan and like?
Yes, yeah. So I knew about the. I would see EPMD, and I was critical because I did fashion, so I was like, yeah, that that GG is kind of off. It's kind of like, I know he's doing it by hand,
Right, right.
and I'm like, it's just not Gucci though. Like it's just I was like critical like that, but and people love that. I'm like, nah, that silhouette is not right. Like I know it's like the Alpo long joint. I was like, nah, they don't make those. So I was like, so I didn't appreciate it because I was so deep into high fashion.
Understood.
Right, and and I could tell it wasn't sitting right. It wasn't draping right. It was like, but he's making lots of money.
Yeah.
It's Harlem. Again, it was 1,000 miles away from me. So I heard of Dapper Dan. And when he got shut down, that was when I was like, yo, this is not right. Like, like he's making a living for himself and they shut him down.
Right.
Right. Right. What drove you to come up with your own line? Like I know you was doing fashion, but what made you come up with? I'm going to use my name and.
Yeah. So
where did that come from?
when you go to Fashion Institute, you have to decide how you're going to handle success or lack of success. Do you love what you're doing? Right, if you want to be a DJ or whatever, you love what you're doing. If you got one person or a million people on the stage, I had made the decision to be like, I'm going to be happy just doing fashion, whether I have my name on it or not. Having my name on it was never like, that's never gonna happen. That was pushed off to the side. I want to work on 7th Avenue, right? That's all I want to do is work on 7th Avenue, work
Fashion
in a creative
district,
space.
For those that don't.
Yeah, Fashion District in New York City, the epicenter. Like it was. This corridor was the epicenter, right? So that's all I want to do. Like, but there's no urban fashion, so I can't say I want to be an urban fashion designer. Do I want to be a men's designer? I just told you that point of entry was through women's. Men's, you had to do 5 more hurdles to get into men's, and then you had to play the politics game, and then you had to play the sexual politics game that come along with it. So it was nothing that.
What is that though? What is?
It's not anything negative. It's just there was.
Are you?
Not negative.
Yeah, just
I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
when you go into FI, I'll give you a great example. When I told my family and friends, I think I'm gonna go into fashion.
Yeah.
You say that today, it's all good. You say that in 1986, 87 to someone, they look at you like, what's wrong?
Are you gay?
Yes.
Right.
And it was, for me at the time, it was like, I wasn't worried about that statement or that tag or anything. I wasn't gay. But at the same time, I was like, that's something you have to figure out how you handle with friends and family first. And then that should be easy. But then moving forward, and when you go into the politics of fashion and you see this more velvet ropes, like you're from Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah.
You're not gonna work on 7th Avenue. Like that's not doable. Like you're not like what we do here. I'm like, yeah, but I want to do it. So I had to figure out ways of being successful. So I could not just be a designer. I had to learn how to be a graphic artist. I had to learn how to drape. I had to learn all the peripheral businesses, so you can't say no to me. You know what I mean? So I learned how to illustrate everything. So I could put my talents on the table, and you say, "Yeah, I gotta hire you because you can help. One day you can help me with this. The next day you can help me with this." So I went into FIT willing to learn more than just one thing, but they force you to learn women's perspective first.
Yeah.
Right, and it was just no urban fact. I go to FIT now. It's all different. It's like totally different because hip hop has influenced fashion so much that it is from an educational standpoint, they'd be fools to ignore what we're doing in urban fashion, streetwear fashion. You know, they have to. They have a footwear program now. They never had a real sneaker footwear program at FIT.
Did you find a tribe at all in this process? Like, did you find people that were like-minded? I mean, I know that when we talk to April Walker, she'll mention Dapper Dan or some other names get dropped. But you're not in that mix.
Right.
Right.
So that's the difficulty being from Newark, right? So
Right.
I was a loner, but when it's time to be politically correct or network, I found I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's from breakdancing, right? That comes from, you know, we're from Newark, but we're breakdancing in Washington Square Park on a Saturday to make money. And we make money. Like, so we don't come back empty-handed. So we're like, we can do this. We're from that part of town, but we can do this. So the confidence was learning how to turn that performance thing on is a thing. But really, FIT put me in contact with certain people, and those people were either from New York or, hey, this guy's working with this photographer. And it's sort of you leapfrog, use those lily pads. Like the guy I was on the phone with, Rich Bravo, who does art. He was set design. He did the set design for Wu-Tang, the first album cover, that gold W. Like, he made that by hand, right?
Okay.
And Danny Hastings shot the cover.
Yeah.
So me knowing him knowing Danny, I get my first styling gig.
Gotcha.
Right? And then that helps. And that's when you have to put the charm on. Like, what do you want? Like, a styling gig, Danny Hastings. He's a Latino doing this thing in photography. Danny does Fat Joe next. So I'm, you know, Jealous One's Envy. I created the whole album cover for that, set design for everything. Got Joe in Coogee for the first time on that album cover. Like, he was wearing fatigues.
Right.
I got him into Coogee. And ironically, I do Coogee now. But it was just things that you learn how to network.
What was your first gig, though?
My first gig was in Newark. It was at a screen printing facility, and it was doing decorative T-shirts, right? That was my first gig, and I was proud. I worked there a couple of years, and I had money to get a car, you know, a nice little Audi, you know, what do you call that?
5,000?
Not 5,000. Came after 5,000. It was the other one, smaller one.
4,000.
No, not
2,000.
Yeah, 8.4 or something. You know, one of those, but that was a hard show. Like that was.
So your first client in hip hop, who was that?
First client like when I did Fat Joe.
Yeah,
Fat Joe, and then no, actually at the same time happened. Fat Joe happened, Danny Hastings.
Okay.
And then other things happened after that. Danny was trying to shoot Nas, so I reached out to Nas a couple times. But networking was key for styling gigs.
Gotcha.
The first gig was, I'm working on my 7th Avenue. I'm very happy. I have a 2-year-old son. I just had a baby. And I'm happy. And then my boss's friend, his name is Leonard Rothschild. I was like, sounds like a real important name. Like, Leonard actually had 7 stores in Chicago.
Okay.
They were called The Lark in Chicago. Kanye knows this. Virgil, all of them used to go to his shops, right? So he had 7 stores, and he came to visit his boy, and I'm working for his boy, right? And he says, yo, I got this young man over here works, and he seems to be in hip hop. Comes to me, and Leonard, I'm big on reading someone aura or spirit, you know, like I'll meet you and I'm like, all right, cool. This seems like a good guy to work with. So he comes to the office and says, hey, I need help. I got the license for Pele Pele underwear, and I need someone to help me create an underwear line. I was like, I don't do underwear, but I know hip hop. And they're like, word?
Yeah.
This is when Magic was starting, trade shows and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I put a collection for him really quickly, put it in his hands, and he said, how much? I was like, nah, I don't need, just go make some money. I felt like the exercise was the reward. You asked me to do a project. I'm doing styling. I'm not designing. I'm designing for something else. I'm designing for like Kmart or something. So when someone asked me for design for my culture, I was like, yo, I got to give him the best work. Gave it to him. He comes back with 2 million in orders for underwear. He's like, yo,
Wow.
your question is, that's when it happened fast. Like, that's when he was like, you know what? I got to pay a royalty on this 2 million. I got to kick it back to Mark Buchanan, who owned Pele Pele. I don't want to do that anymore. And I didn't even understand what that was. Like, a licensing deal is when you create a brand and then you could sell facets of the brand and someone else can do it for you. And I was amazed that he came back to me and says, yo, I don't want to pay that. I don't even know what that was, but he's like, I want to build you up. And I was like, okay. And I felt the moment. I felt when I gave him the product, and I was like, this is going to come back tenfold. Don't know how. Money or, you know, I'm going to meet someone else. No, it came back immediately like, you know what? Just do whatever you want. This is 1995. 95, he's like, you know what? Just do whatever. Now, I know April's out there. I know DAP has been already shut down probably at the time. And, you know, it's like, I see cross colors. I see two black guys. No, Nietzsche yet.
No, at 95 it wasn't out? Helly Hansen?
Helly was there, but Helly was a distant. It wasn't native to us. Helly was like, that's different. Carl was just starting, and then that's what he was saying. I'm selling a lot of Carl Kanai. I'm selling a lot of Fubu.
Right.
April was sort of in there, but not. She wasn't outside. I don't know where she was at, but it wasn't his top 10 at the time. But I know April because the W. I always tell April, like, the W was my name's Wills. I'm like, yo, you, and my last name is my government name starts with an M. So her thing was like, I can't use that, like, because that was I was like, yo, I didn't know it was a girl either. Like, I didn't know it was a girl doing that, but she was hustling. And I was like, yo, she's amazing, right? Never thought I'd be considered a peer to her, you know. But this Carl Kanine, it really was Cross Colors. Cross Colors was making a lot of noise. So by 95, it immediately leapfrogged into just do your own thing. What are you gonna call it? That was the big thing. Because Fat Farm was hot.
Fat Farm, yeah, okay.
Do I call it Fat Farm or Fubu, or do I call Carl Kanai April Walker? Those are the two identities you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, and for me, I sat back and said, let me look how the music's going. Generation's gonna, it's gonna, I feel like 5 to 10 years, they're gonna be off whatever I'm gonna do right now. In 5 or 10 years, they're off that. They're gonna be off. Well, I'm not wearing Lee jeans right now. I'm wearing Tommy jeans. So I looked at the trend. I'm like, all right, whatever I do is 5 to 10 year run. Do I want to walk away with a moniker, with a name that people can mention, or computers weren't big yet, so a name, or do I know who's behind Fubu? No, not really. Do I know who's behind Fat Farm other than Russell? No. So I said, Carl's always going to be Carl. April's always going to be April. So I'm going to do my thing. I'm rolling the dice. It's put in front of me. I'm rolling the dice. I'm calling it my name. And at the time, there's no Latinos doing it.
Right.
So I'm going to be, again, same as moving into the black neighborhood. Like, I'm going to get all the girls. Like, I'm going to get a portion of their orders from a Latin perspective because Latins listen to hip hop.
Right.
So I'm going to get automatically that. I have to now get someone like Nas. You know, that's when he started reaching out to Nas.
And this was when he was obviously calling himself Esco, and you was like,
he was already
Esco.
Marketing.
That's the marketing aspect.
He was already Esco.
Now, some would say, why not get a Fat Joe? Why not get another Latino?
Oh, I did.
So you reached out to Fat before
did.
Nas?
Remember, I did his album cover.
Right. So why didn't Fat Joe? Why wasn't Fat Joe?
Good question. Right. No. Joe knows. Like, and I respectfully understand his point of view. Okay. But the story goes like this: I am styling his gig, and I don't have Esco at the time. When I did Jealous One's Envy, I didn't have my brand yet. Okay. But I knew him. So he knows I networked with him. I'm at Flex, and Cuban wasn't even around. Pone wasn't around yet. But it was a tight-knit crew he had. And I think he appreciated what we did with him. And I sort of kept in touch with him. There's no real cell phones at the time, right? So from the time I did Jealous One's Envy, a couple years later, now I have my own brand. But I'm starting it from my office. I don't have my partnership with Samsung yet.
Uh-huh.
I don't have. And Samsung was the driving force behind Fubu. So the way companies are run, you have a financial partner who underwrites all of your orders. Fubu had Samsung, which was a brilliant move by Dame and our partners. And I knew all that, but I never thought in a million years I'd get the same deal. So I had a partnership with someone, but it was very small money. So I was happy with just trying to do my brand.
Mm-hmm.
Go through the exercise of doing the brand and see what happens at the end of it. I went and made the collection called the Willie Esco,
Mm-hmm.
and then I go back to Joe. Joe, call him up. He comes up to my office.
Right.
You know, Joe, I got my own brand now. What do you think? Now, at the time, he had FJ 560 to store.
Yeah, he had his shit 560. Yeah.
And he was trying to get the brand off the ground, and don't know what was happening. Someone else was running it, but I'm coming out as officially. I'm a first really Latin guy doing this in space. I'm like, yo, I could use your help. And the thing is, at that time, if you were considered too Latin in what he's doing, hip hop, and he might lose some points on the streets. So it's a catch-22. He's like, I want to support you, but I can't be the face of the brand because I still need the love from my African American community. I was like, it hurt, but I understood.
But that's so interesting to me because he came through with Pun in particular.
That's a few years later.
A few years later,
it was I'm the first one really putting my name. Like Carl is Panamanian.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Carl's
right.
But you don't put that out.
It
was more like I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to mess up my money.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to mess up the money. My skin color don't allow me to come off like my father's dark skin, but I wasn't. So I'm like, I have to be who I am, and then throw the dice on that. Otherwise, I would have called it something else, some Latin phrase or some other thing. If I was scared, I wouldn't have named it my own name.
Right.
Right.
But then when I went into it, I asked Joe, he respectfully declined. The funny thing is, in that conversation, Joe knows, he says, you need to do something like Fubu or something. You got to be like Fubu. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I don't want to. That's too. I don't know. I don't know what that means to me. Like Fubu's hot, yes. But I like Carl's aesthetic, more personable. The name Fat Farm was cool. I like the designers there and everything.
Right.
But the funny thing is, a year later, I end up getting my deal with Samsung, and I'm with Fubu. So under the umbrella of the same thing.
Right.
Now he sees me. It's different. It's like,
of course.
Joe, I'm in the building now. Come down, get some clothes. We get him clothes and all that sort of stuff. Same thing, same. When you're trying and you get, when you hustle enough and then you be seen in the same rooms. I remember I dressed Latifah years before, and then before you know it, I'm in Grammy parties with her. She's like, oh, yeah. I was like, in fashion, I'm hustling, right? So to get in the same space as you are. But Joe was instrumental in the first touch point with styling, but it was tricky for us as Latinos in that space.
Yeah.
It's really tricky.
Well, once it popped, did Joe try to spin the block, double back?
No, Joe was respectful. Joe, he didn't want to do fashion. I think he needed to, it's very competitive, like D-Dot said. At that time, it was really competitive. You got Nas, you got Biggie. It wasn't about being Latino. It was about rhymes. It was about how you put your album together. And he's at Relativity. So his focus is his career. It's like, I can't focus on clothes right now. Yeah. Because it was, Joe's career is like some points in time are like, oh, is he going to be, he keeps finding the next wave.
Reinvention.
Yeah, he does. He does.
He's excellent. He may be one of the GOATs at that.
Him and Nori. I think Nori's the best at reinventing.
Yeah. Right. Oddly enough, now Joe is like a little bit of a fashion don. Like,
correct.
Joe
had to move the right way.
Now, what was the meeting like when you approached Nas? Or
The
Was it an
funny-
immediate yes, or was it convincing?
And also, which came first? You know, Escobar Nas or Willie Esco?
No, so when I get my deal, well, I don't get my. Well, it's sort of like getting signed by a record label, right? So you have Fubu, who's on fire right now. Fubu's on fire. My old business partner, who has 7 stores in Chicago, gave me a shot for a year. They didn't like the numbers I put up. I didn't put up big numbers, but they're like, you know, it's finances. In this business, is if you're not making money, you got to go. So I spent my whole time at my job that I was minding my own business. He comes and says, do this for me. I do it. Then I spent all my time doing Esco.
Yeah.
I knew that if I spent all my time doing Esco, I'm not helping the company grow. So I'm not an asset. So I have to gamble on myself and say, I'm going to be successful at this. And I have a 2-year-old son. So I'm like, do I do a little bit of Esco and make sure I'm still utilizing the company, or do I go all in? I go all in, right? And doesn't work the first time because I didn't get, you know, when you have someone like Samsung backing you, you have unlimited funds. Me, these guys were just do what you can. We'll support you. I made some samples. I did a few shows, but at the end, you know, of a year of developing it, they're like, and it's going towards December, you know, going towards October, November, December, the fourth quarter. They were looking at their books like, yeah, we don't need Will anymore because this Esco thing didn't take off like we thought it would, right? I fortunately didn't sign any contracts. Did verbal agreements, didn't sign no contract.
Wow.
And you know, I knew it. So I see the chess game being played, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to get another job. At least I'll get some unemployment. You know, I'm planning like that.
Right.
Wow.
Wow.
But let me go do this last trade show, right? I had a last trade show. My saleswoman was not selling correctly. She wasn't selling. She was pushing my brand correctly. And the way it worked back then was you rent a room space like this, and one lady says, I will sell your collection to all the stores. I have the contacts. I'll charge you $500 a month, right? Okay, cool. And my showroom is Naughty by Nature. They had Naughty gear.
Naughty gear.
Right? It had Cortez clothing from MTV. This guy, some MTV brands, right? And then they had me. But she would always leave me last to promote me. So she's like, we're going to do a trade show. This towards this end of my run at the first spot. And they're like, we're going to do a trade show. Can you just guys play for the trade show? I'm just going to do that trade show. And I know they're about to cut me, but they're not saying it. So I let me ask for this trade show. Nomsby, Jacob Javits. I go set up. I do the booth and everything.
Yeah.
Do the whole thing. So you are basically, this is your last show.
This is it.
Right? I might as well put a good face on. And I told her, I was like, you know, I'm paying you, but you introduce me to everybody you meet here. Because I need to figure out what I'm going to do with this. She said, sure, no problem, no problem. I know she wasn't pushing me. All good. Ironically, I'm sitting at the table, sharing the table with her. She says, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. You know what? The Fubu guys are coming here. They want to see the Naughty by Nature line. They want to buy the brand. I'm like, what do you mean buy the brand? Like, they want to buy it. I was like, if they come, keep them here. I was like, I wasn't even thinking, like, whatever. They come sit at the table. Now, they know Fat Joe. They know there's a Latin aspect to it, but they're killing it with Fubu. They don't need another black brand.
Right.
I sat down, one of them, I said, she's coming. They're like, all right, cool. What do you do here? I said, I have my own brand. So the opportunity presented itself again. I'm like, they sat down, and it's 2 of the 3 partners I ended up partnering with. Same partners with Damon John, right? Shark Tank. And I sit down, and they're like, yo, show us your collection. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not showing you that shit. You're going to steal it and put it in Fubu. He's like, no. I was like,
you stole it?
Yeah, no. I was so, so exhausted from,
fuck you.
I said, I was so exhausted from all of the games people were playing. I was like, you know what? Fuck you. You're going to steal the shit. And this is my last hurrah? Nah, bro. I'm not doing it. In my mind, I was like, this is my last hurrah. I'm not giving you my good idea. I had some pretty good ideas on there. And then they sat there and they both look at each other like they like my attitude, and they're like, thinking when I'm thinking, yeah, they're like, yeah, fuck naughty. What do we? Let's do a deal with you.
Yeah.
I was like,
wow.
what? So
That's
they're like,
crazy.
oh, and I was like, what do you mean? It's like, we'll do a deal with you. You own it, right? I was like, yeah. Like I really, I didn't really have the paperwork aligned and then I had to go
Right.
back and do all that. So they give me the opportunity right then and there. They're like, yo, come to our office. I'm gonna call you Monday. It's Sunday. The show was Sunday. I'm gonna call you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't call me tomorrow. Don't call me. I gave my card. They had it. Don't call me at that number. I'll call you. They're like, no, come on. We're gonna call you. I'm like, yo, you're not gonna risk my job, bro.
Yeah.
Because I have like 3 months. You're not
Yeah.
messing with my job. Don't call them. They call you, and they're gonna ask you looking for another job. I'm like, don't call, bro. And now I'm getting Newark. I'm getting ghetto. It's like, don't fucking call. Don't.
Yeah.
If you call, you're gonna be paying my salary. He's like, and they start laughing and stuff, like,
like that, right?
yo,
So
my salary is like not a lot, but I'm like, yo, it's serious business. I have a new kid.
Yeah.
Right.
So they walk off. And as she sees them walk off,
Whoa.
she comes back and says, what just happened? I was
Right. No.
You don't want to help me, so I walk. And
Yeah.
that happened just like that. Now, mind you,
God.
you gotta remember. Yeah, that was high power. We gotta remember. The guy I was partners with had 5 stores in Chicago. I started with 7 stores. He had all the stores in Chicago and was killing it with Fubu.
Mm-hmm.
I time it perfectly. I do the deal. I walk away with everything. My first next show is in Vegas with Fubu.
The magic show.
At the same, we get a booth
right
next to them or whatever. Now, Damon and them don't like me because I'm like competition.
Yeah.
Healthy competition, but they don't welcome me like they should. But okay, cool.
Wait a minute. Fubu?
Yeah. It was funny. So I'm at the trade show. The guy who has 7 stores, he's got to write Fubu, right? He thinks my era is, like he's not doing. He sits down and they're like, no. Before you write Fubu, you gotta write our own brand, the other brand first. Like it's a new artist. Like you gotta write our other brand first. You gotta commit to writing our other brand. He's like, what? It's a new brand called Esco. He's like, well, that was my brand. Yeah, you gotta write the orders. Like you're gonna give us an order for $5,000 right now, or you don't get Fubu.
Oh.
So that's. They're gangster like Damon and the family was they were like, we're gonna make sure you get placed.
But I thought they didn't welcome you.
Who?
Dame.
No, we're talking about other partners.
Oh, okay.
So we got 2 crews. You got a black crew and a Latin crew, but there's 2 other partners.
Oh, got you.
Involved, and then on top of us is Samsung.
Okay.
So there was infighting. I was very politically correct, but my boys were always angry at them, right? So it was healthy competition.
Gotcha.
But going into the store, imagine you're my partner 1 week, the next week you're at the trade show, and you're like, you're gonna write an order for me for $5,000. They're like, yo, I help make that brand for him.
Right.
Like, too bad you want Fubu, so he wrote it.
Wow.
He wrote it. It was a lot of chess playing. Especially with Damon and them. Damon was hard to navigate because they were on fire. They were on fire.
Everybody had Fubu.
Everybody had Fubu.
Coast to coast, like you said.
And that's where the Nas thing comes in because the Nas thing. Because you ever see like they do skits about it, like the one thing that maybe people may be afraid of, maybe that big ogre in the jail, whatever, and then you put him in front, and I think it was Stir Crazy did that. They put a guy in the cell with him, comes out, and they're buddies. That's what happened. So Nas, I had tried to reach out to him a couple times when I got the deal, and I wanted to work with him before the Samsung thing. And then Samsung, they're like, yo, we got LL, we need you to get Nas. I'm like, all right, I'll try. I reached out to Danny, all this stuff, can't reach him. What the Fubu guys thought was being funny was like, yeah, let's go tell Nas there's a brand, someone downstairs stealing his name, right? So they sent horse down. So we're from the streets too, but they thought they were being funny. The thing is, yo, they taking your name, son. They taking your name. So they sent horse downstairs to our office. Horse comes in, and I'm like, what's up? What's your name? It's Horse. I'm Nas' bodyguard. I was like, oh, so I did that. Oh, I've been trying to reach you like we were friends for a long time.
Right.
I was trying to reach out for a long time. I disarmed him immediately. He walks out there with a bunch of clothes. Because back then, you get clothes that's like money.
Yeah.
It is
Hell
like
yeah.
money.
But did he go up there with the message
Intention.
of someone saying, "Yo, you
Yes,
think he
the
didn't say
intention
anything
were
to you about that?"
it's Horse.
Right.
Horse,
Big
knows.
Horse.
You could talk to Horse.
Right.
Came in like, and we just made him feel at home. And then the Fubu guys was like, "What happened?"
Right.
You know, I was like, "Nah, man. Like, I've been trying to get with Nas. He just didn't reach. Oh, he got new management." I was like, "See,
Right.
right?" And then that happens. Give him a bunch of clothes.
Right.
I don't know if I got interest if he wears the clothes.
If he wears the clothes.
The next day he wore it on Beach House and MTV Beach House.
Without you even talking to him.
No, I haven't talked to Nas yet.
Right.
He gives it to him, and I'm like, yo, here's for Nas, and we're here to make money for him. Just tell him if he wants to come make money. Now, this is the beginning. So the hustle of me being in the spaces of breakdance. So I know how to talk. I know how to, paint a nice picture and basically say, come, let me help you build this part of the business. I know what I'm doing utilizing your name, but you're also utilizing a Spanish name. So let's make money together. I'm going to make you some money.
Yeah.
So, he started making money right away with us.
So you were aware of the name?
Oh yeah. I'll say this. I'm in recovery. I've been in recovery 30 years. So at the time, I was 2 years clean. I was very respectful of other people's doing their thing, right? But at the same time, I had to walk this path. I have a 2-year-old son. I'm never going back to that lifestyle, and I got an opportunity of a lifetime. This I attest to me staying focused. So in doing so, you sort of have to navigate a certain way in the space. I think Cristal was the thing at the time. I had to buy Cristal for everybody. So it was a difficult thing to navigate. Yeah. And I felt like Pablo Escobar they were idolizing him so much. I'm like, I want to take that and flip it on its head. I want people to start considering Escobar as for fashion instead of cocaine. Yeah. So personally, it meant that to me. Also, Nas was using it. So I need to ensure success for the brand. So rather than call it something else, like a Fubu or a Fat Farm, so let me roll the dice. And the name goes back to my family as well. So I thought it would make sense for everybody. I think people can coexist. You had Dr. Dre, the DJ. You had Dr. Dre, the artist. I like, we can coexist, and I want to make him some money. Yeah. So I think he understood right away who wasn't so happy with Steve Stout, which I understood. He was trying to cultivate Nas a certain way. Yeah. But Stout was the same way, like, hey, come with us to Vegas, man. He's like, oh, okay, all right. Nice. So we fly out to Vegas, we have a ball, and we start making noise in the space. That's 1997. Yeah.
So, I don't want to speed too far ahead, but you are in the process of revamping the brand and bringing it's back out.
Yeah, the brand is back out, but the process of, let's say, starting your own brand right away, you get lucky right off the bat. And it's tricky because you maybe, I did experience the struggle of being a fashion designer, but not what April went through, not what Carl went through. And I don't have that tribe, like she mentioned. She has a tribe she can call. I'm a loner. On top of that, I'm trying to stay away from people, places, and things. So I'm not out. I can't be out. I value, above money and everything, I value my being clean, right? So relationship with Nas wasn't that good because maybe there's a disconnect there. Maybe you think I'm better than you because I don't do drugs or whatever. I was not really speaking on it. I wasn't, it could be a negative thing that I don't do that stuff. So there's a disconnect there. There's a disconnect with the Fubu guys. And then once you put two Queens cats together, as an entrepreneur. So that dynamic I understood, like, I went in with a purpose, 5 to 10 years. Right. The music, we talked about this, the music process speeds up. It's getting tighter and tighter. So where you had 10 years to do a brand and be successful, now it's maybe 7, then it's 5. So you have a niche and you have this, and so they take a piece of the pie, and you have less to work with. My thinking was I have to learn the business. I have to learn how to do other things other than my namesake. I'm lucky I got my namesake brand, but I didn't own it 100%.
Right.
And that's where disagreements with Nas. Like, I don't own 100%. So you want 50% of the brand, I can't give it to you. I only got X in my.
Right.
Yeah, so the disconnect was, nah, I think you got, I don't. So we clash heads.
Yeah. Right.
Everybody knows that.
That's on paper. He can see. He could have seen that you don't own 50%
Yeah,
of the
people were not big on reading
okay.
contracts. I was big on.
Busting people in the head with
I was big on, yo, Nas, I got 100,000 for you. Come on down, I'll meet you. You know, and at the time, you got the music industry so competitive. You got Nas, Wu-Tang. Everyone was gunning for him.
Right.
You understand? I got lucky enough to be in the midst of him during that period of time, but he don't trust me. I know, rightfully so. You don't know me. And by you making money with me, you know, maybe I'll gain some trust. But this, you know, that's a personality thing. Like, if you don't trust me now, I don't know you ever trust me. But personally, I was like, I'm more than just this. I'm going to do other things. It will present itself like the opportunity presented itself in the very beginning. So I was like, I could see this wave of fashion ending. Rockaware, us, Sean John was still there, but you have Mecca's dying, Fat Farm's dying. When did that die? That's 9/11. After 9/11, the dynamics of fashion changed.
Right.
And it gave excuse for big investors not to invest anymore.
Right. Why doesn't our clothing companies and brands last, but Ralph Lauren does, and Gucci, they've been here for hundreds of years.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing.
Right.
So,
why doesn't our culture?
So as I'm trying to learn the business,
right,
that's something that's eating away at me. Like, why don't we have the longevity as these other brands? That definitely goes back to 400 years of slavery. That's like, you know, systemic racism at its best. Like you have all the control of the industry, and you're going to make sure, you know, monetize anybody below you that comes on after you. So at the turn of the century, you know, they locked everything down for us. Like, we can't really buy a home. We can't do that. A lot of the angles that you use to be successful, that people that came here and sort of threw the Indians out, that's what they use to control the masses. And that happens in fashion too. So Ralph was big. Tommy was big, and they were perceived a certain way, and I noticed that. And also, I'm being noticed different. I'm not black, so I'm like, why is that? Why do we have that self-loathing mechanism that allow us to want to be on the other side of that velvet rope? Like, I don't care what's on the other side of that velvet rope. Like, I don't need to be over there. Like, so it always bothered me. So the next step, the evolution of me was, this was always going to end. Like, our era of fashion was always going to end. It just ended for me in a certain way, ended for everybody else in a certain way. My pivot was, what am I going to do next? Ironically, you work for This Is 50 and all this other stuff, and 50 Cent came along. You talked about it with D-Dot. I started fine-tuning myself. What's the next set of brands going to come out? And why can't I be looked at as Russell in fashion, and start plucking these guys that want opportunity or knowledge from me, right? So that's what I did. I said, you know, what's the next wave? I'm going to let this my brand fade away. I had always been with my partner. So you gotta remember, it's me and my crew, Damon and his crew. My mentality was much like Google. If you see a threat, throw money at it and buy it. Right? Okay. First experience comes in. Hey, Echo sued me, and no big deal, but we sued. They're going to bankruptcy. Hey guys, we should buy Echo. They're like, why? We want them to die. I'm like, no. We want them in our tent.
Yeah.
So they don't do that deal. Like, so that was my first experience with my business partners, giving them insight. Yo, people still want Echo. He's just having financial problems. We got Samsung.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do? Oh, so one partner had restrictions with Dame. Like, we can't, I'm not allowed to do that.
Right.
Like, contractually, I was like, well, let me talk to Dame.
Right.
And, you know, it's egos.
And Echo was kind of hot.
Echo was hot.
Yeah.
No, Echo gave us complex.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I understood the talent level, and I was like, Dame, don't push away. Welcome in. You get a piece of everything. And I get a piece of whatever piece you get. I'll bring him here. So that was that. You know, we didn't work. Okay. You know, I'm working with Dame Dash. So Dame came to me. I had this conversation with Dame as well. Dame came to me, yo. And I heard Jay. You know, everybody heard Jay when he first came out. You heard the first 2 singles. I'm like, yo, this is different. I'm Nas is with me. This is different.
Right.
It's new energy. The wave is coming. So I go to my partners. I had a meeting with Dame Dash. He wants to do Rockaware. And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, that's the brand. Rockefeller Records, they want to do Rockaware. Dame wants me to design. I can't. Contractually, I can't do it. Got to talk to Damon. Oh, Dame, come on, Dame. We got to do this. Dame, Fubu Dame. Dame, come on, man. We got to do this, bro. Nah. Rapper selling clothes? I'm like, but LL sells our clothes. A rapper having his own brand? That won't work. I was like, and Dame knows, like, I love Dame to death. He's my bigger, younger brother.
Yeah.
Right.
His, you know, the way he thinks and how he was doing business back then, I had to be respectful in my approach, never be out of pocket. But sometimes I had to say, yo, Dame, Rockaware, bring them in the camp. You better know your enemies inside your camp. You can control them. Nah, we're not doing that deal. I was like, so I had to go back to Dame and redirected the deal to someone else, whoever they did the deal with. Yeah. And I'm like, the next one, Sean John. Puff comes. Dame and John.
Bruh.
Dame, please do this deal, bro. Please.
Is Dame a hater?
Oh my God.
No, I'm not putting it like that. Dame wanted to.
Right.
What he is now is what he was trying to figure out. What's the next wave of business I'm gonna be doing? Right? We both were.
Yeah.
I really am staying in fashion. Dame wanted to be a DJ, or, you know, so he was really protecting his people, protecting any kind of nonsense. We know our culture. You bring people in the tent, they start robbing from the tent. Yeah. Right. So. And I was like, Dame, but we won't be in that tent anymore. We'll be outside the tent. There'll be another set of people in the tent. Yeah. Right? So I just couldn't get it done. Yeah. And then
Sean John was hot too.
I said, Dame, it's your last name. Sean Puffy Combs, Dame and John. I was like, you're gonna win. Yeah. You will win. And my partner started, this is the 3rd one. And they see now Rockaware's on fire, and they're like, Will does make, I'm not making it all about me. I'm like, I'm selfless. I want all of us to win. Yo, you should do this. Yeah. Damn, you should do this. Yeah. And I already know I'm on the outs with Nas, so that's fading away. So I have a choice. 50 Cent. 50 Cent comes to the table. Another Queens rapper. He goes, yo, I heard Wankster. I heard the mixtape. You know, I'm listening. I'm like listening to where the talent's coming from. I know that what my partners are saying, my rappers can't sell out. That's the next wave. I said, now I know the next wave is these rappers are going to be independent and have brand extensions in fashion. And we're not needed anymore. Like AI, we're not needed. Puff's going to have Sean John. Jay's going to have a Rockaware. 50's going to have Gorilla Unit. So that's when I said, let me go. I got good, got a meeting with Shaw Money, and I'm more business minded. I seen 3 deals pass by. I'm like, 50's not that hot. He's just New York right now. Right. But when he did his mixtape thing at the club over here on 38th Street, the line was around the block and it was raining. I was like, yo, this is it. I got to go do this deal. Right. Put $500K on the table. I was like, yo, Dame, I want to do independent. I'm not doing it for 100K. I want to do Gorilla Unit.
Mm.
And he's like, oh, okay. I was like, well, what do you see? I was like, I'll do whatever you want to do with it. It can be high end, it could be low end. He's like, I just want to make money. I'm like, cool. So I have 500 on the table. Mark Echo, who we didn't bring in a tent. Mark Echo puts him in an ad, makes the deal, puts $2 million on the table.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
There's Gorilla Unit.
Wow.
So, but at the same time, my partners come to me. They don't. Damon's out the equation now.
Yeah.
They come to me. What do you think about Coogee? I was like, are we doing this one? Because no, Damon's not gonna be part of this one. We're gonna revamp Coogee. We want you to do it. I was like, all right. This is 2004. But by that time, 50 passed, and I start talking to Afeni, the Tupac estate, and that's when I proposed doing a brand for Tupac.
Gotcha.
We had never been done before.
Right.
Posthumously doing a brand, naming it Machiavelli was
Right.
different. It wasn't, and that took off as well. So I had two brands now. I had my brand was on the backside. I was revising Coogee, relaunching Coogee in 04 and Tupac.
Gotcha.
And that love Tupac got was way beyond whatever I did. That love Tupac. I was spending 40,000 on ads, like, and using celebrities. Ludacris did it for free. Anybody in our ad campaign for Machiavelli did it for free
Nice.
because they love Tupac.
That's what's up. All right, 1 sec. How much time do we have?
We over an hour now.
All right.
Time has about 15 minutes left.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Okay. That camera's done. All right. Okay. So, wow. So that was a lot.
That's a lot.
That was a lot.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
that was
A lot of maneuvering.
And by the way, I was.
But that's growth. That was for me. I'm no different than trying to figure out how to get into FITs. How do I learn about the next wave in my career, which is being selfless? Like, let me do another brand that's not me. Like, I'm spoiled. Like, usually you build up. You do 2 or 3 things, and you get your own brand. Marc Jacobs did that. Like
Right.
Calvin Klein did that. No, I got my own brand right off the bat. Now I need to play around and do other things.
Yeah.
You know?
So, where do we go? All right. So, what about the current state of fashion? By the way, this
nice
black,
jacket.
Zara,
Zara,
Karl Lagerfeld.
Karl Lagerfeld.
Lagerfeld.
Licensed out.
Yeah. I thought I couldn't think about what I was like. Oh my God, what do I wear? I have no clue.
Yeah.
So I just said all black. This
All
is
black
like
safe.
This is like my favorite jacket, by the way. I've worn this so much.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the state of fashion now for hip hop, in your opinion?
Well, there's a lot of sadly, around the time I do these deals, right, I understand how business works in our space. But I knew that we were going to progress. So I knew Kanye was going to move the needle. Puff already did. I identified Kanye as the guy. Like, he's,
Right.
And I'm thinking we have a shot at tapping. We'll figure out. We're hustlers. Our culture is hustlers,
Right.
right? Where are we not? We're not in luxury.
Yeah. Right.
So I know that our culture is going to figure out a way to get into luxury.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what happened. So I watched that happen. And then around that time, that's 2013, I have done Machiavelli. I've done Coogee. I'm starting to revive Coogee for the second time. And that's the time, around the same time, I start feeling a wave of retro coming back. Have conversations with Thurston and Racklow on Low Lives. Selfless, like, hey guys, you have an entire community, global community, and I want you guys to rewind the tape to 2013, 2014. Low Lives were not doing anything, very low under the radar, in terms of visibility on the fashion front.
Right.
But I feel this wave of nostalgia coming back. That Coogee's coming back again. I got that under control, and I start talking to Dap. Dap. My whole thing shifted from, I hate luxury brands. I really do hate what it needs to be spoken about many times, because this this need to assimilate or to act better than because of what you're wearing. We don't need that.
Yeah.
We're giving away all of our metrics. It's the golden era of social media right now.
Right.
And you're giving all that away to Dior, Gucci.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
And they'll steal from our culture and then
No. I told you, baggy's back.
right.
Why? Because they pushed us out of baggy. They told us skinny was in. And all right, cool. They left that alone. Now luxury's doing baggy.
Yeah.
And they're telling you that's hot.
Right.
Right? So it was a mentality that I had. Now, what I did with Tupac showed us the real love we have for our culture. I need to do that again. Like, I enjoy reviving and relaunching brands. So I put the Low Life brand together.
Okay.
Launched that in 2015. Guess what happens? Ralph starts to take off.
Yeah.
And sad to say, some of the low lives decide, I want to go with Ralph. I'm like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do.
Right.
I'm setting this off for y'all to have a platform like Ralph has.
Yeah.
And Ralph's going to give you those free clothes, bro. They're going to give it to you. You can't take it.
Yeah.
Like, I had a conversation beforehand. Dap too. Dap, I was like, Dap, I just think it should be Diddy, not Gigi.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right.
It should be, you should be our luxury Karl Lagerfeld. You know, you should be that guy for us. And this is 2013, before Dap takes off. I say this in the documentary Fresh Dressed. I say it because I'm naturally promoting what I'm going to be doing. And Fresh Dressed is taped and it comes out a year and a half later.
Right.
So I'm figuring I will be able to do a deal with Dap. And I'll be able to finish my deal with the Low Lives. And I will be doing my thing for my culture, promoting them, giving them two different looks, man. Luxury,
Yeah.
Dap. You forget Gucci, forget Fendi, forget them. If you say you're that person, they drove you out the business, come back in. And I don't know what he was doing at the time, but I remember having those licensing. I had success with Tupac. I saw what if you just present it in a certain way, the culture will come. The sad thing is, you know, they go back.
The vultures will come
they
too.
can't come. You know, I'm glad for Dap's success,
I am too.
right?
Yes,
but I
absolutely.
speak it on.
I know what you're saying though.
I speak it on Fresh Dress. It's documented, and I am investing in ourselves. So I buy brands that I can revive. So I bought a footwear brand called Jaclar, owned by some white folks in Boston. Franklin Family Sports. I buy the shoe brand. Why? Because Nike, Adidas, you look at the landscape of footwear, what is missing? Ownership. Our ownership. It's none of us own anything in footwear with American heritage attached to it.
Yes.
You could do a clothing line, Fubu could do a shoe, they'll laugh at it later. That's not right. You know what I mean? So what I'm doing is looking at, all right, since you don't want African American brands and you don't want to get behind it, let me go buy an old American brand and slowly revive it. You can't hate on that because you go look at the history on Jaclar and it's 40 years old.
Right. Right.
So I did that. I did Low Life, and then I'm bringing back Davucci. And Davucci is designed to really, I'm going into luxury goods. So I'm doing wallets, bags. I'm not doing the outerwear right away. I'm doing bags, wallets, small things. Set the tone, and then bring out the leather goods.
Well, I gotta say I respect everything that you've said because hip hop is really supposed to be counterculture or at least industrial and, like you said, hustlers.
Yeah.
You know, and really creating a paradigm shift in our culture. We leveled the playing field. And then when they give us a hug, it's like it's like the white man's ice is colder type of thing.
Yeah. And look at what happened with Kanye. The frustration he had and why he said hateful things is because he wanted to be accepted in that culture. You wanted to be, and you did not pay attention to the business side of it. So they want you to come and design right away because you're like, I'm accepted by Adidas. Yeah. Adidas wants me to do. Yeah, go ahead, do that. I own it. And it was you slipped up.
Yeah.
And that's when you slip up and you don't win the like you could slip up and still get whatever you want if you negotiate correctly. But I think after 10 years, they were like, no, man, we're not doing it. We own this and you're going to design for us, and you're going to get a lot of money, but you're not. Jordan's the same way.
Right.
Nike cuts the checks.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it's a big business that we in fashion. We always want to be accepted. And we have the metrics.
Right.
We own the control, the social media dynamic, and we're giving it back to them.
We want to be accepted, and we don't value ourselves, our brand.
Not
That's
at all.
why. That's
Not
why.
at all.
That's why if you wear
Yeah.
Fubu now, they'll laugh at you.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we don't value us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. No,
It's
that's
a
a
gimmick
fact.
to them. It's
But we value Polo.
And
We value-
Sway
That's
told
crazy.
Kanye that infamous moment. And what?
I said, but we value Polo and Ralph Lauren.
Yeah, and make it hot.
And make it hot.
And make
But
it hot.
systemic
Can't wait
racism. That is
It's crazy.
hundreds
Exactly
of
how it works.
years
That's
of
exactly
of
how it works.
building that into your mind. You can't do it without us.
Yeah.
You actually could.
And
You
and
could do it
Sway
better.
told Kanye years before that he could.
Yeah,
and
I
he
told
didn't
Sway.
believe.
Me and Sway had conversations about this
Yeah.
because Sway was in fashion.
Yeah.
He said, when he said I do this,
Right.
right? He really does it because I would be there to help. Like, yo,
Yeah.
if you need help in, or what do you I have a clothesline, Temple Effectives. I know all the brands. He wanted to do it, and he was trying to explain to him, but you're not white. You're not Ralph, though.
Yeah.
You're not white.
Not
though.
white. That's what he said.
So the frustration to come back is wanting to be accepted.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing the path. I don't need to be
I
accepted.
need to be.
I need to slowly build these brands up, give people opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
and learn while you're building brands. Not everything's gonna work,
Mm-hmm.
but
Right.
my fervor now is grabbing a brand, I revived Fubu for the second time,
Yeah.
right, and Kuji for the second time, but again, I don't own those brands.
Yeah.
I have to own, so I do own my brand. I finally got my brand back.
Gotcha.
Taking my time with it, no rush, but I got. In footwear, there's a big issue there. Everything's in footwear right now. Everything, that is where the emergency level event is, because we give them money, so much money that you'll sell your soul
Yeah.
for a check.
And I've been, slightly off topic. I guess I won't say the brand's name, but they have been celebrating recently. And I've seen them advertise in mainstream publications using our artists, but not on our platforms. And I had to talk to somebody. I'm like, yo, you guys are celebrating this banner year, but you're spending money outside of the culture. And I'm like, AllHipHop's 25-year-old brand
Correct.
totally hits the bullseye with the culture, but does not even get approached except to come and be a observer and a reporter
Correct. Yeah.
on your event, which involves these very brands. So it's frustrating.
Then grab your eyeballs and your metric. That's all they care about.
Exactly.
So
And-
my footwear is not being sold in Foot Locker, Foot Action. It's only online. If anything,
Can you get in those places, or is it?
I
Are they?
probably could, but
Yeah.
I look for the day that they knock on my door and I say no, thank you.
Mm.
Like, so if anything from a Supreme sale taught me, what a Supreme sale taught me is that you can be true to yourself, cash out, but in the end, you still get the short end of the stick, because Supreme got sold again for 3 times the amount after that. But nonetheless, what Supreme taught me was like, they were hyper focused on skateboarding, while I'm making millions of dollars in fashion on urban, selling to Dr. J's, Foot Locker, Foot Action. They were like, we have a store in Lafayette. We don't care about anything else. So I look at the past and say, yeah, that thinking is correct. Forget everyone else, then everyone will come. So I'm slowly trying to build that mentality. I have the conversation with the lowlifes as well. It's like, here's what's going to happen. We're going to launch a brand. You're going to poke a giant, which is Ralph. He's going to get on fire. I would say that quarter, those 2 quarters, he made $1 billion off of us.
Yeah.
Billion. Go look at the numbers. He made $1 billion, and you got happy with a stadium jacket.
Wow. Wow.
And and you could have shut him out.
Right.
Don't buy that. Only buy ours. And it's very hard when it's multiple people. What you're trying to say, you know what I mean? So so I want all of my brands to be thinking the same way. Like, whatever I pick up, and if there's someone that wants to do outerwear or leatherwear, yeah, I have a brand you can work with. Help me build your career up, and work with me here. You want to do streetwear? A young cats out of Newark.
Right.
I'm gonna do it.
All right. Well, look, I gotta cut you off and you off too.
Good.
We are out of time.
Yeah.
But I want to say you got to come back up here.
No problem, man.
Got to come back up here, man. The wisdom you're sharing is invaluable. People got to hear from you, especially your mind is very wise and forward thinking.
Yeah,
Progressive.
not bad for a Newark kid.
Yeah, no, not
no,
at
but
all.
I study
Yeah.
the business.
You can dance better than Jermaine Dupri.
Yeah, come on, man.
JD,
JD, you
pulling
all
those strings so you can win.
Yeah. No, they listen, he knows what he did. But no, it was. I appreciate coming up.
Yeah,
Last time I had a
definitely.
great conversation with you guys.
Yeah, I hate cutting people off,
No,
but
that's good.
But we want to also save some conversation for later.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I got a lot of interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely. Salute.
Yes. Pleasure's mine.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Thank you.